G'day guys, I'm the sports physiotherapist. In this video, I'll show you how to warm up your shoulders and trunk to play contact sports like rugby or AFL without any equipment quickly and effectively. So, if you're a parent, coach or player, this video is for you. Let's go. G'day guys, so get your athletes to partner up. The athlete in the singlet in this video is the one doing the working set. So he has his elbows in by his side and he's primarily rotating out. He's not doing a side shoulder lift, it's a rotation of the elbows out to the side for the middle and back of the shoulder. Similarly with internal rotation, we're going to have elbows tucked in, rotating across the midline of the body, warming up that middle half to front half of the shoulder. After this, we're going to move on to on our knees and doing that shoulder lateral raise or abduction type motion. So hand placement just on the elbow crease line or just on the bicep there, pushing up. This is a great middle delt shoulder warm-up exercise. Repeat 8 to 12 times for all those exercises. Then moving on to the front, we're going to be doing a landmine press. So this is more for the anterior delt. Athlete that's helping is got one leg forward, slightly bent, one leg back. If this is too easy for the athlete on the ground, the person that is helping can move both feet back to get longer lever arm and put more pressure on the working athlete's shoulders. Once again, great warm up for the anterior delts. Similarly, in a 90 degrees positions for those athletes that want to catch above their head, we want to do this external rotation at 90 degrees. Athlete stands behind to get that mechanical advantage. Athlete keeps the elbows at 90 degrees, rotating up to the ceiling. What we then do is bring the athlete on the ground's elbows into the front position and they're just going to do a straightforward shoulder press up. Make sure that the helping athlete is putting pressure through wrist to wrist and not wrist to fingers of the athlete that's on the ground. Moving on to a partner row, athletes grasp hands. The one that's on the ground is pulling himself up into a standing position, working the middle and lower traps, as well as the posterior delts for some posterior chain work. This is just a nice exercise to warm up the back half of the athlete's shoulder. To make it harder, athlete 1 can start to use a single arm grip, primarily just using the opposite hand to support the trunk if they don't have the required stability to do it entirely one-handed. Athletes can then swap once finished the desired amount of repetitions. Moving on to a pike press, athletes start up in a quadruped position, pushing back so that their arms are moving over their head. This helps to strengthen the athlete through full range of motion of the shoulder, whilst requiring a stability element. Next, we're moving on to the classic push-up. We want to make sure our shoulders are not at 90 degrees as seen with the athlete in the singlet here. We want to either be having our elbows tucked in by our side as on the left or at 45 degrees as on the right. Depending on ability, an on knee or a straight leg position push-up are fine, as both will help to warm up the anterior delts and pec muscles. We can turn this into a power exercise to get the athletes moving more forcefully by falling onto our knees and then pushing back up quickly. Great way to warm up the exercise for contact. This next series is for more scapular and trunk stability. This is the easiest position, holding a full arm plank. Athletes can then go on to a full arm plank down into an up-down motion to work on that shoulder blade control, and then move on to a shoulder touch. This is quite difficult for the athlete to hold a neutral spine position whilst touching the opposite shoulder, which means their rotator cuff and their shoulder blade is going to have to work quite hard. The harder progression from this is holding that arm on the ground, maintaining neutral spine and twisting, getting the shoulder to move in an external rotation position. This is a great stability exercise, especially for an athlete that may have suffered a previous shoulder injury such as a dislocation. To finish, we're going to do 2 dynamic exercises, starting with a walkout and push-up. The goal is to keep the athlete's weight through their arms for as long as possible during the movement, walking out, keeping the load through, getting into that push-up and working backwards. Once again, just a great dynamic exercise to start to warm up the shoulders and the trunk. Secondly, a bear crawl. Make sure the athlete is touching the right elbow to the right knee or the left elbow to the left knee at any one point in time. This is a great finishing exercise just to keep the shoulders nice and warm and get them to move dynamically whilst keeping their trunk active through the movement. From here, athletes must then complete their sport-specific skills such as tackling, hitting pads, catching balls to get that sport-specific warming up prior to playing. Thanks for listening, guys. If you have enjoyed this content and would like to support me, please subscribe, like, share, and hit the notification bell to stay up to date. If you have questions or video requests or ideas, I truly value your input because I make these videos for you. So please get in contact with me via my socials, which you will find in the video description. Have a great day, you bloody legends. I'll see you on the other side.